Here's something most people never figure out until it's too late. Your entire life, everything you'll become, everything you'll achieve, everything you'll contribute, it all gets decided in the first hour after you open your eyes. Now, I know that sounds dramatic, but stay with me here because this might be the most important thing you hear today. Let me ask you something. When that alarm goes off tomorrow morning, who's really in charge of what happens next? Is it you with your dreams and your goals and your potential? Or is it that comfortable pillow, that warm blanket, and that voice in your head saying just 5 more minutes? Because I'll tell you right now, that battle, that simple little battle between you and that snooze button, that's not a small thing. That's everything. You know what I learned after all these years of studying successful people? The difference between someone who's making it and someone who's struggling isn't found in their big decisions. No, it's found in how they start their day. Let me tell you something that might shake you up a little bit. I've had breakfast with millionaires and I've had breakfast with people who were broke. And here's what fascinated me. It wasn't what they ate that was different. It was what time they ate it, what they were thinking about while they ate it, and what they did in that first hour after opening their eyes. See, most people wake up and immediately go into reaction mode. The alarm goes off, they hit snooze 3 times, finally drag themselves out of bed, and then spend the next hour responding to whatever life throws at them. Check the phone, read the news, get disturbed by what's happening in the world, rush through a shower, grab whatever's quick for breakfast, and head out the door already feeling behind. That's not a morning routine, that's a morning emergency. And here's the challenge with that approach. When you start your day in emergency mode, you spend the rest of your day trying to catch up with yourself. Now, let me tell you about a different approach. When I was younger and struggling to make ends meet, I noticed I was waking up later and later. I'd sleep until the last possible moment, then rush through my morning like my hair was on fire. And you know what? My bank account reflected that chaos. My relationships reflected that chaos. My health reflected that chaos. Everything in my life was reactive, scattered, and just barely getting by. Then I met this mentor who changed everything for me. He asked me a simple question. Jim, what time did you wake up this morning? I told him and he just smiled and said, that explains a lot. He taught me something profound that morning. He said, Jim, successful people understand that the morning is when you take command of your day, not the afternoon when you're tired, not the evening when you're depleted. The morning. That's when your willpower is strongest. That's when your mind is clearest. That's when you have the most energy to invest in yourself. And then he said something I'll never forget. Don't give your best hours to someone else's agenda. Give your best hours to becoming the person who can handle any agenda. That hit me hard. I realized I'd been giving away my mornings to sleep, to comfort, to whatever felt easy in the moment. But successful people, they were claiming their mornings like prime real estate. They understood something fundamental about human nature. How you do anything is how you do everything. If you can't discipline yourself to start your day with intention, how are you going to discipline yourself to build a business, to save money, to improve your relationships, to reach your goals? Here's what I started doing, and it changed everything. I set my alarm an hour earlier, just 1 hour, and instead of sleeping in, I used that hour to work on myself. I'd read something that inspired me. I'd review my goals. I'd think about the kind of person I wanted to become. I'd plan my day with intention instead of just reacting to whatever showed up. And you know what happened? Within 90 days, my income started changing. Within 6 months, my whole life started changing. Not because I found some magic formula, but because I changed who I was becoming, and I did it one morning at a time. Let me explain why this works. Your morning is the only time of day that truly belongs to you. Think about it. Once you leave your house, you're on someone else's schedule, your boss's schedule, your client's schedule, your family's needs, traffic patterns, appointment times. But that first hour, that's yours. And what you do with what's yours determines what you'll do with what could be yours. The truth is, self-discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. You can have all the goals in the world, but if you can't discipline yourself to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not, those goals will remain dreams. And where does self-discipline start? It starts with that alarm clock. It starts with getting up when you said you would. It starts with doing what you plan to do instead of what's comfortable to do. I've watched this pattern for decades now. Show me someone who can't get out of bed in the morning, and I'll show you someone who's struggling in multiple areas of life. Show me someone who bounds out of bed with purpose and intention, and I'll show you someone who's creating the life they want. It's not complicated. It's actually beautifully simple. Your morning routine is a reflection of your personal philosophy, and your personal philosophy determines your results. Here's something else I learned. Successful people start their day as students. They wake up ready to learn something, to improve something, to grow in some way. Unsuccessful people start their day as victims. They wake up complaining about having to get up, complaining about what they have to do, complaining about the weather, the traffic, their circumstances. One group is asking, "What can I learn today?" The other group is asking, "Why does this always happen to me?" And those two questions lead to two completely different destinations. You know what separates average from excellence? It's not talent. I've met plenty of talented people who were broke. It's not connections. I've met people with incredible networks who couldn't make anything happen. It's not even intelligence. I've met brilliant people who couldn't pay their bills. What separates average from excellence is this. Successful people do daily what unsuccessful people do occasionally. And where does that daily discipline show up first? In the morning. Think about the power of this. If you invest one focused hour every morning working on yourself, reading, learning, planning, preparing your mind, that's 7 hours a week. That's 30 hours a month. That's 365 hours a year. Do you know what happens when you invest 365 hours a year in personal development while everyone else is hitting the snooze button? You become a different person. And when you become a different person, you attract different opportunities. You make different decisions. You get different results. The morning isn't just another part of your day. It's the command center. So, let me make it simple. Don't try to become a different person overnight. Just wake up 30 minutes earlier tomorrow. That's it. 30 minutes. And in those 30 minutes, do something that feeds your mind, your spirit, or your body. Read 10 pages of a good book. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Review your goals. Stretch, pray, meditate, think, plan, whatever speaks to you, but make it intentional. And here's what you'll notice. Those 30 minutes will start to change how you feel about yourself. When you do what you said you would do, you build self-trust. When you invest in yourself before you invest in anyone else's agenda, you build self-respect. When you start your day with purpose instead of panic, you build confidence. And those invisible deposits, self-trust, self-respect, confidence, those are the foundation of every visible success you'll ever achieve. The morning advantage isn't about becoming superhuman. It's about becoming intentional. It's about understanding that how you greet the day determines how the day greets you back. It's about recognizing that you're either designing your life or you're being designed by your circumstances. And that battle is won or lost before 9 in the morning. So, here's my question for you. What's your morning telling the world about who you are and who you're becoming? Is it saying I'm serious about my life and my future? Or is it saying, I'll get to my dreams when I feel like it? Because I promise you this, your morning routine is writing your autobiography one day at a time. And the beautiful thing about that, you get to write a new chapter tomorrow morning. You get to start fresh. You get to choose different. And when you do, everything changes. Now, let me share with you what took me years to understand. And once I got it, everything changed. See, most people wake up in the morning thinking about what they're going to do that day. They're thinking about their to-do list, their appointments, their obligations. And that's fine. That's necessary. But here's what separates the person who's truly going somewhere from the person who's just going through the motions. Successful people wake up thinking about who they're going to become that day. There's a fundamental equation in life that you've got to tattoo on your brain. Here it is. To have more, you must become more. Not do more, become more. See, a lot of people think if they just work harder, put in more hours, hustle more, they'll get different results. But that's like trying to harvest a crop you never planted. The harvest comes from what you've sown, and what you've sown comes from who you've become. Let me tell you a story that opened my eyes to this truth. I was in my 20s, broke and frustrated. I mean, really broke. Pennies in my pocket kind of broke. And I was working hard, let me tell you. I was putting in the hours, but nothing was changing. Then I met this wealthy man at a seminar, and I got brave enough to ask him the question that was burning inside me. How did you become so successful? You know what he told me? He said, Jim, I didn't set out to get rich. I set out to become the kind of person who could create value, solve problems, and serve people at a high level. The money was just a byproduct of becoming that person. That conversation haunted me. I went home that night and looked at my bookshelf. You know what was on it? Dust. I didn't have books. I had excuses. I had reasons why I couldn't get ahead. But I didn't have resources to help me become better. Meanwhile, this successful man I just met had a library that cost more than my car. He was investing thousands in books, seminars, and courses, while I was investing in lottery tickets and hoping for a miracle. Here's what hit me right between the eyes. He was working on himself. I was working on my circumstances. He was focused on personal development. I was focused on complaining about the economy. He spent his mornings reading philosophy and studying success principles. I spent my mornings sleeping late and watching whatever was on television. And we were getting exactly the results our morning habits deserved. So I made a decision that changed my life. I decided to become a student again, not of school. I was done with formal education. I became a student of success, of philosophy, of human potential. And you know where that study happened? In the morning. Every single morning before I did anything else. I invested at least 30 minutes in feeding my mind something nutritious. Now here's what most people don't understand about personal development. It's not about pumping yourself up. It's not about getting motivated for a few hours and then going back to your old ways. Real personal development is about fundamentally changing who you are, how you think, how you see the world, how you respond to challenges, how you treat opportunities. And that kind of change doesn't happen at a weekend seminar. It happens in the quiet morning hours when nobody's watching, when you're alone with a book, a journal, or your own thoughts. I learned this phrase that became my philosophy. Formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. Now, I'm not knocking formal education. Get all of it you can. But don't stop there. Because what they teach you in school is how to work for money. What you teach yourself is how to have money work for you. What they teach you in school is how to be an employee. What you teach yourself is how to be valuable. And there's a massive difference between those two things. The morning is when you give yourself that self-education. It's when you read the books that challenge your thinking. It's when you listen to the ideas that expand your vision. It's when you study the people who've achieved what you want to achieve, and you ask yourself, what do they know that I don't know? What do they do that I'm not doing? Who have they become that I haven't become yet? Here's a truth that'll set you free if you let it. You can't change the seasons, but you can change yourself. Winter is coming whether you like it or not. Summer is coming whether you're ready or not. The economy will do what it does. The market will fluctuate. People will be people. You can't control any of that. But you can control who you're becoming. And when you change yourself, you change everything. That's why the morning routine of successful people looks so different from everyone else's. While most people are consuming news that makes them anxious, successful people are consuming knowledge that makes them powerful. While most people are scrolling through social media comparing their lives to others, successful people are reviewing their goals and comparing their present self to their future self. While most people are reacting to what everyone else thinks is important, successful people are creating what they know is important. Let me give you something practical here. Every morning I review my goals. Not once a year on New Year's Day, every single morning. And you know what that does? It keeps me connected to my why. It reminds me who I'm trying to become. It shows me the gap between where I am and where I want to be. And that gap becomes my motivation. That gap becomes my curriculum. That gap tells me what I need to learn, what I need to improve, what I need to work on. See, most people set goals and then forget about them. They write them down on January 1st and don't look at them again until December 31st. And then they wonder why nothing changed. But when you review your goals every morning, something magical happens. Your mind starts working on them subconsciously. You start noticing opportunities you would have missed. You start making decisions differently. You start becoming the person who can achieve those goals rather than just hoping those goals will somehow achieve themselves. Here's another thing about morning personal development that people miss. It's not just about what you put into your mind. It's about what you keep out. See, if you wake up and immediately check the news, you're filling your mind with problems you can't solve. If you wake up and immediately check email, you're letting other people set your agenda. If you wake up and immediately start thinking about everything that went wrong yesterday, you're programming yourself for more of the same. But if you wake up and guard that first hour like it's sacred, because it is, if you protect your mind and feed it carefully and intentionally, you're doing something most people never do. You're taking responsibility for your own mental state. You're choosing your thoughts instead of letting your thoughts choose you. You're directing your focus instead of letting your focus be hijacked by whatever screams the loudest. I learned this principle from one of my early mentors. Stand guard at the door of your mind. Now, you can't stand guard all day. Life is going to throw things at you. People are going to say things. Circumstances are going to challenge you. But you can stand guard in the morning. You can control what gets in first. And what gets in first has tremendous power over what comes out later. Think about it like this. If you start your morning by reading something that inspires you, that inspiration becomes the lens through which you see your day. If you start your morning by thinking about what you're grateful for, that gratitude becomes your filter for interpreting events. If you start your morning by reviewing who you want to become, that vision becomes your compass for making decisions. The morning input determines the daily output. Here's what I want you to understand. Personal development isn't something you do when you have time. It's something you make time for. And you make that time in the morning. Because here's the truth. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. There's no staying the same. Life doesn't work that way. You're either growing or you're dying. You're either becoming more or you're becoming less. And the direction gets set every morning when you decide whether to invest in yourself or just coast through another day. The most successful people I've ever met all have this in common. They have a personal library that would make you weep. They've invested more in their education after school than they ever invested during school. They read books like their life depends on it because it does. They listen to programs, attend seminars, hire coaches, join masterminds. They're absolutely fanatical about becoming better, smarter, wiser, more capable. And when do they do most of this learning? In the morning, before the phone starts ringing, before the emails start flooding in, before the world demands their attention. They claim that first hour for themselves, and they use it to become the kind of person who can handle whatever the next 15 hours throw at them. So here's my challenge to you. What are you becoming? Not what are you doing, what are you becoming? Because what you're doing is just the expression of what you're becoming. And what you're becoming is the direct result of what you're feeding your mind. Especially in those critical morning hours. Feed it wisdom and you'll become wise. Feed it garbage and, well, you know what happens. The morning isn't just a time to wake up. It's a time to wake up who you're capable of being. Now, let's talk about something that most people never master, and it costs them everything. Your mind is either working for you or it's working against you. There's no neutral ground here. And here's the fascinating part. The direction gets set in the morning, in those first few moments after consciousness returns. Most people never take control of this moment, and then they wonder why their whole day feels like they're swimming upstream. Let me tell you what I see happen every single day. The alarm goes off, and immediately, within seconds, people reach for their phone. They start scrolling, they start reading, they start absorbing whatever the world wants to shove into their mind. News about problems they can't solve. Drama from people they don't even know, comparisons that make them feel inadequate, emergencies that aren't really emergencies. And just like that, before they've even put their feet on the floor, they've handed control of their mental state to forces outside themselves. That's not living, that's reacting. And when you start your day in reaction mode, you stay in reaction mode. You become a pinball bouncing from one thing to the next, never quite in control, never quite sure where you're headed, just responding to whatever hits you next. And at the end of the day, you're exhausted. Not because you accomplished so much, but because you spent all your energy reacting instead of creating. Here's what I learned from someone who changed my whole philosophy about mornings. He taught me to ask a different question when I wake up. See, most people wake up asking, "What do I have to do today?" Or worse, "What's going wrong today?" But he taught me to ask, "What can I give today? What value can I create? What difference can I make?" Now that might sound like a small shift, but let me tell you that question changes everything. Because when you ask, "What can I get?" you're operating from scarcity. When you ask, "What can I give?" you're operating from abundance. And your mind moves in the direction of your dominant questions. This is where morning gratitude becomes more than just some feel-good exercise. I'm not talking about making a list and checking it off so you can feel spiritual. I'm talking about strategically directing your mental energy toward what's working instead of what's not. Because here's the truth. Whatever you focus on expands. If you wake up and immediately start thinking about your problems, your debts, your difficulties, guess what? Those things get bigger in your mind. They dominate your thinking. They color every decision you make. But if you wake up and spend even 5 minutes acknowledging what's good, what's working, what you have instead of what you lack, something shifts. Your brain starts looking for more things to be grateful for. You start seeing opportunities instead of obstacles. You start feeling resourceful instead of helpless. It's not magic. It's just how your mind works. You get more of what you focus on. So, you better be intentional about where you point that focus, especially first thing in the morning. Now, here's a principle that'll transform your life if you really get it. For things to change, you must change. Not your circumstances, not other people, not the economy, not the weather, not your boss, you. And where does that change begin? It begins in your thinking. And when is your thinking most moldable, most directable, most under your control? In the morning before the chaos starts. I spend time every morning thinking about who I'm becoming, not just what I'm doing. See, what you do is important, but who you're becoming is essential. You can do all the right things for all the wrong reasons and still end up empty. But when you focus on becoming more patient, more disciplined, more generous, more focused, more valuable, the doing takes care of itself. The right actions flow from the right identity. Let me give you something you can use right now. There's this concept I call standing guard at the door of your mind. You can't control everything that tries to enter your mind throughout the day, but you absolutely can control what enters in the morning. You can choose to let in ideas that empower you or ideas that diminish you. You can choose to let in thoughts that build you up or thoughts that tear you down. You can choose to let in influences that inspire you or influences that discourage you. Most people leave that door wide open. They let anything and everything waltz right in. No filter, no discernment, no standard. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, overwhelmed, and defeated before they even leave the house. But when you stand guard, when you protect that first hour, when you carefully select what gets access to your mind in those vulnerable early moments, if you're not just protecting your morning, you're protecting your entire day. You're protecting your attitude, your energy, your focus, your potential. Here's what this looks like practically. Before I read the news, I read something that strengthens me. Before I check what everyone else thinks, I check in with what I think. Before I look at my problems, I look at my possibilities. Before I consider what's wrong with the world, I consider what's right with my life. It's a discipline, it's a practice, it's intentional, and it works. Think about it this way. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant in the morning grows throughout the day. Plant worry, you'll harvest anxiety. Plant negativity, you'll harvest frustration. Plant doubt, you'll harvest inaction. But plant possibility, you'll harvest opportunity. Plant gratitude, you'll harvest joy. Plant purpose, you'll harvest productivity. The morning is planting time. The afternoon is growing time. The evening is harvest time. So, You better be intentional about what you're planting when that sun comes up. Here's something else that's critically important. The quality of your morning thoughts determines the quality of your daily decisions. If you start your day thinking small, you'll make small decisions. If you start your day thinking about survival, you'll make survival-based choices. If you start your day thinking about scarcity, you'll make fear-based moves. But if you start your day thinking about growth, possibility, and abundance, your decisions reflect that. You take different actions. You see different options. You create different results. So let me ask you something and be honest with yourself. What's the first thing that enters your mind in the morning? Is it dread? Is it stress? Is it all the things you don't want to do? Or is it purpose? Is it gratitude? Is it anticipation for what you're going to create? Because whatever it is, that's your operating system for the day. That's the software running your life. And if you don't like the results you're getting, maybe it's time to upgrade the software. And that upgrade happens every morning when you choose your first thoughts, instead of letting your first thoughts choose you. The power isn't in perfect thoughts. The power is in intentional thoughts. The power is in recognizing that you have a choice. Every single morning, you get to decide. Will I direct my mind, or will I let my mind be directed by whatever shows up? Will I create my mental state, or will I inherit my mental state from my circumstances? Will I be the author of my thoughts, or will I be a victim of my thoughts? That's the morning advantage right there. That's where successful people separate themselves from everyone else. Not in what they accomplish by noon, but in what they establish in their mind before dawn. They take control. They stand guard. They choose intentionally. And that choice repeated every morning becomes the foundation of an extraordinary life. Now here's where everything comes together, and this is the part that separates the dreamers from the achievers. You can have the best morning routine in the world. You can wake up early, read all the right books, think all the right thoughts, feel all the right feelings. But if that inspiration doesn't translate into action, if that morning preparation doesn't lead to afternoon execution, then what you've got is entertainment, not transformation. Let me tell you about two people I knew. Both of them came to the same seminar. Both of them got inspired. Both of them bought the books, took the notes, felt the motivation surge through their veins. They both went home fired up, ready to change their lives. But here's where their paths split. One of them woke up the next morning and implemented one small thing. Just one. He started waking up 30 minutes earlier and reading for 20 minutes. That's it. Nothing fancy, nothing complicated, just one small morning discipline. The other person, he felt inspired for about 3 days, then went right back to his old routine. Same late mornings, same rushed chaos, same excuses. Fast forward 6 months, the first guy had read 10 books. His thinking had changed. His confidence had grown. His income had increased. His relationships had improved. Why? Because daily action leads to weekly results. Weekly results lead to monthly progress. Monthly progress leads to yearly miracles. But it all started with one simple morning discipline done consistently. The second guy still waiting for the perfect moment, still planning to start, still hoping something would change while he kept doing the same things. Here's the truth that nobody wants to hear, but everybody needs to understand. You don't have to change 1,000 things. You just need to change a few key things and do them every single day. And the morning is where you lock in those key things before the phone rings, before people need you, before life gets complicated. You do the most important things first. Every morning, I identify 3 things that matter most that day. Not 10 things, not 20 things, 3. And I do those 3 things before noon. Why before noon? Because that's when my energy is highest. That's when my willpower is strongest. That's when I'm least likely to make excuses. If I wait until afternoon, I'll be tired. If I wait until evening, I'll be drained. But in the morning, I'm ready. And when those 3 most important things get done, the rest of the day is a victory lap. See, success isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's about doing the right things over and over until they become automatic. And consistency starts in the morning. When you do what you said you would do, when you said you would do it, whether you feel like it or not, that's when you build the kind of character that attracts success. Here's what I want you to hear clearly. Starting your day right isn't about perfection, it's about direction. And direction determines destination. If you're heading north every morning, even at a slow pace, you're going to end up somewhere completely different from the person heading south. The speed doesn't matter as much as the direction. And you set that direction in the first hour of your day. So here's my challenge to you, and I'm completely serious about this. Give me 30 days. Just 30 days of intentional mornings. Wake up earlier. Feed your mind something good. Review your goals. Plan your day. Choose your thoughts. Then take action on what matters most. 30 days. That's all I'm asking. Because I promise you this, if you give me 30 days of serious, intentional mornings, you won't recognize yourself at the end of it. Your confidence will be different. Your results will be different. Your whole life will start shifting in a new direction. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better. And you become better one morning at a time, one decision at a time, one action at a time. The compound effect of those morning disciplines will amaze you. But you've got to start. You've got to commit. You've got to make the decision that your mornings matter more than your comfort, because they do.